son's conceited girlfriend lands them in poverty.
Hello, I'm Truly, and welcome to my channel. For more stories, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
It started subtly, as most slow-moving disasters do. My son, Walter, sweet and endearing to a fault, called me one spring evening, his voice tinged with the nervous excitement of a young man in love. He wanted to move in with Zachary and me. Not alone, of course. With Lucy. I knew Lucy was Walter's girlfriend. He'd introduced us a few months prior, and I'd picked up on an odd vibe, a certain glint in her eye, a way she'd observed me that felt less like curiosity and more like assessment. But Walter was beaming, so full of hope, and as his mother, all I ever wanted was for him to be happy. Zachary, bless his patient heart, agreed. Our house was big enough. We'd make it work. They arrived with a U-Haul packed with what felt like very little for two people. Lucy, however, had an aura about her that took up all the space in a room. And it wasn't long before I realized that aura carried a sharp, jagged edge, especially when it came to me. From day one, Lucy had a chip on her shoulder where I was concerned. It was almost immediate. She seemed to resent my presence, my authority in my own home. She'd sidle up to Zachary, my husband, asking him if she could have this or that, a piece of furniture, a kitchen gadget, even a decorative vase. Zachary, bemused, would tell her, "Lucy, this is Ava's house. Everything in it is Ava's. You need to ask Ava," but she rarely did. And if she did, it was with a sneer, as though I were some kind of gatekeeper to treasures I hadn't earned. Then came the tales. Little whispers, carefully distorted truths, designed to sow discord between Zachary and me. "Zachary, Ava just said 10 about you, or Ava really doesn't like how you do why." Zachary, a logical man, would usually come to me, confused. "Ava, did you really say that?" And I'd have to unravel the carefully woven lies, defending myself, feeling the familiar prickle of irritation. He'd tell Lucy many, many times that our marriage was strong, that she needn't involve herself, but it was like talking to a brick wall. Or perhaps a demolition ball. The pet situation escalated rapidly. When they first moved in, they had a scruffy little terrier mix, Buster, sweet enough, but clearly not well trained. Then came the cat, Mittens, who had a habit of scratching the sofa. "Oh, we just saw her at the shelter, Mom. She needed a home," Walter would say, his eyes wide and earnest. I'd sigh. Tell them they needed to be responsible, clean up after them. Then another cat. Then a ferret. Then a parrot that shrieked at all hours. Our home, once a sanctuary, began to feel like a poorly run petting zoo. Neither Walter nor Lucy were taking care of them. The litter boxes stank, perpetually overflowing. Accidents on the rug became a daily occurrence. Zachary and I were the ones buying dog food, cat food, litter, parrot feed. They never offered to contribute, never seemed to notice. "You guys have so much already, Ava," Lucy once said, shrugging, when I gently suggested they pick up a bag of kibble on their next grocery run. "We're trying to save up." Save up for what? More animals? To tear up more of our belongings? Our beautiful antique rug now had claw marks and stains. The couch, a gift from my mother, was a shredded mess. One sweltering afternoon, Zachary and I were sweating it out in the backyard, wrestling with a stubborn sprinkler system. Walter popped his head out the back door. "Mom, can I borrow your debit card? We're going to get some drinks from the convenience store. For all of us, it's so hot." "Sure, honey," I said, wiping sweat from my brow, appreciating his thoughtfulness. "Just grab some waters and maybe some sodas. Whatever you like." I handed him the card, barely looking up. Later that evening, checking my account, I nearly dropped my phone. The $20 transaction wasn't just for drinks. It was for a small mountain of snacks, candy, and a fully loaded submarine sandwich. My stomach churned. I clicked on the details. The bulk of it was food for Lucy, without asking. For her, not for us, who were working outside in the heat. Not for Walter, just for Lucy's conceited appetite. "Walter," I said, my voice dangerously calm that evening, "did you buy a whole meal for Lucy with my card today?" He looked down, shuffling his feet. "Oh yeah, she was really hungry, Mom. She didn't have any cash. And you didn't think to ask me first about spending my money on her? After I specifically said drinks? I didn't think it mattered," he mumbled, shrinking before my eyes. This was the effect Lucy had on him. She made him forget himself, forget common courtesy, forget respect. The end came, as I had known it would, with a bang. Literally. I was in the kitchen, making dinner, when I heard the sickening crunch of metal and splintering wood from the garage. Zachary ran out first, then me, our hearts in our throats. Lucy stood there, pale-faced, next to her battered old sedan, which was now wedged deep into our garage door. The entire door was mangled, contorted, a gaping hole where a solid barrier once stood. I thought I had more space," she stammered, her voice thin. Zachary stared, aghast. "Lucy, what did you do?" My anger, usually kept on a tight leash for Walter's sake, snapped. "You backed your car into our garage door," I exclaimed, my voice rising. "You will replace it. Both of you. This is it. You have to replace it, and then you have to move out." Walter, for once, looked truly shocked. Lucy just pursed her lips, a flicker of something defiant in her eyes. "Fine," she spat. "We'll go. We don't need this anyway." Within a week, they were gone, the house feeling eerily quiet without the constant animal noises and the undercurrent of tension. Walter's father, Bill, lived in a much smaller house across town, and despite my warnings, opened his doors to them. Bill was a good man, but a pushover, even more so than Zachary when it came to Walter. I knew it was only a matter of time before Bill felt the full force of Lucy's destructive presence. Lucy's antics did not end when they moved in with Walter's father, Bill. I, on the other hand, had doubts about the arrangement. But Walter and Bill were eager to give it a try. At first, everything seemed fine. Walter, Lucy, and Bill got along well. But as time went on, I began to notice a change in Walter. He became more distant, and his once bright personality dimmed. When I finally got the chance to talk to him about it, he told me about Lucy. Lucy, it turned out, had a peculiar talent. She had a tendency to break, ruin, or tear up everything she touched. It was as if she had a Midas touch in reverse. Everything she touched turned to dust. Walter, being the sweet and endearing young man that he is, tried to help her. He would buy her new clothes, only for her to tear them apart. I tried to talk to Bill about it, but he brushed it off as a phase. They said that Lucy was just going through a rough patch, and that Walter's support would help her get through it. But as time went on, it became clear that Lucy's destructive tendencies were not a phase. They were a part of who she was. As Walter's financial situation deteriorated, Bill began to distance himself from him. Bill blamed Walter for Lucy's behavior, saying that he was enabling her. Bill even went so far as to cut off all financial assistance to Walter, leaving him with no choice but to find a job. Lucy, meanwhile, continued to wreak havoc. She would badmouth us to Walter and Bill, telling them that we were the ones who didn't understand her. Bill and Walter, in turn, sided with Lucy, further alienating Walter from Zachary and me. Finally, Bill had enough of Lucy's antics and kicked them out of his house. Walter called me, heartbroken and desperate. I told him that he could come back, but only if he left Lucy behind. Walter refused, saying that he couldn't abandon her. And so, my son found himself living in a homeless shelter in the town where Lucy's mom, Candace, lived. Candace, however, refused to let them live with her, saying that Lucy's destructive tendencies were too much for her to handle. I hate seeing my son go through this, but I know that I can't force him to leave Lucy. She has a hold on him that I can't break. All I can do is be there for him and hope that one day he will see the truth about Lucy and find the strength to walk away. As I watch the raindrops race each other down the window pane, I can't help but wonder how long this will go on. How many more possessions will Lucy destroy? How many more bridges will she burn? And how much more heartache will my son endure before he finally wakes up and sees the woman for who she truly is? The answer, I fear, is not one that I want to contemplate. But as the rain continues to fall, and the shadows of the night deepen, I know that I must be strong for my son. I must be there for him, no matter how long it takes for him to see the light. And so, I will wait. I will be patient. And I will hold on to the hope that one day, my son will find the strength to break free from the woman with the Midas touch and rebuild his life on a foundation of love and understanding.